Guys, welcome. Sorry for the delay, but we like to sleep, us people, I suppose. I'm going to talk to you about my perspective on art directing Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days. This is pretty much honest-to-God work files, dirty images. No, not dirty in that sense, but non-commercial, like rough in the edges and made for the purpose of explaining concepts internally and such. So it's not necessarily the most commercially presentable content you're going to see today, but I hope you're going to enjoy the nature of it anyways. And excuse my media center presentation style. I'll be talking a little bit about early pre-production and research. I'll be touching upon like conceptual prototyping, where we test ideas out, dive a little bit into bread and butter production, which I'm sure many of you will see as not super new, but maybe there'll be nuggets of interesting info in there. I'll be talking about wrapping it up, a little bit about marketing, and then I suppose we'll end off with a Q&A at the end. My name is Rasmus. I'm, as said, the art director of Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days. I've been with IO for 5-6 years. So long, I can't remember anymore. I started on a little bit on Blood Money, Hitman Blood Money, and moved on to KL1, where I was a graphics artist and conceptual artist, moving in and around all kinds of aspects of the production, both texture resolution, texture creation, and painting and modeling and everything, and then on to Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days as art director for the first time. Early pre-production. So, why a sequel? Kane Lynch 2 Kane Lynch 1 was our take at a sort of modern day crime caper, and we had these characters developed that we thought presented some unique possibilities and some interesting, ways for us to go. We at IO, we like our anti-heroes, we like our sort of different type of character, and we really thought we had something here. Of course, that's not the sole reason. The money men would like to see some sales numbers, and it actually sold well for a first title, and as such, KL2 was to begin production. One of the first things we discussed was what would be interesting to do. And now that we've been doing the press tour and talking about it and explaining about what we call the Lynch game, it seems so obvious, but I remember back in the day, taking the actual decision wasn't that easy. We've been toying with the Kane character a lot. I mean, he makes sense. He's the guy wearing the suit, and he's the cool, Bruce Willis type character and all that. So there was a lot of, I would say, even though we like the anti-heroes, there was a lot of arc type of character traits we could pull on. So choosing Lynch instead of Kane was a really strange decision. It was so obvious that once we decided it, we were like stunned for a little bit and saying, okay, let's go forward with this. Of course, this meant a lot of new challenges on what the game should be, and we talked a lot about his psychosis and all these things. And developing the character, there was a lot of questions, obviously. But primarily, it was all about these two guys, the relationship between these two guys. So, character in center of designing what you want to do. Next comes, for us at least, came location. So where do you go when you have a character like this? Where would he fit in a sense of his character? Where would he fit in a sense of the story? Logically. And we came upon Shanghai, and I guess you know we were not the only one inspired by Shanghai these days. I guess it's because it's, to us in the West, it's like a adventurous place. It has a lot of contrast built into it. It has a lot of interesting history and the flow of money into the Chinese culture. It represents a lot of interesting differences. This is the first drawing I did, real quick, on pen on paper, if you can imagine a crazy thing like that. And it's fun to see now, looking back, that this is actually quite representative of how the game looks and feels, even though, as I told you before, you can see how rough and quick it is. I still think it has a lot of the values that we spend a lot of time polishing. It's like the opposites meet. We talked a lot about interesting contrast between kettle on a coal grill with a backdrop of golden skyscrapers reaching for the skies. And I guess it's a theme you've seen many times before, from RoboCop to Akira and whatever. Like, you have the underworld, and then you have the spires of money rising up from that. It made sense to us to go to Shanghai as well, because if you want to hide from the Interpol and FBI and CIA and who not, maybe going to China might be a good idea. Lay low a little bit. So we started developing a little bit the relationship between these two characters, and what's new about it, and how do they fit into this world. You can see on this very, very fast sketch I did in the early days that we already tried to establish Lynch having a girlfriend. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm counting on you to have seen all the media buzz, so I will not explain too much about that. And you have a guy being pummeled a little bit for some info or whatever. So we started out researching story options and relationship options in these rough mood pieces where as much knowledge I had to put into the image, as much knowledge could you take out again without really knowing what thoughts had gone into it. Basically to inspire back and forth, inspire the writers, inspire character artists, environment artists, whatnot. At the same time, we were trying to stretch sort of the palette of experiences we wanted to give the player. So one thing was wanting to have a very low-key, which is something we were inspired from all the way back, having a low-key, believable setting. We also wanted to give the people a regular action movie buzz. So this is another super, super fast conceptual idea visualization where you can sort of get a grasp of what kind of opposition you would meet. And then back again to something a little bit more moody. These examples are funny to me because I made them, and I know they are, well, super non-commercial in their looks, but I still like them because looking back now that the game is done, and seeing these, it's interesting to see what counts and what doesn't count. So if I'd spent a lot of time polishing and painting a suit properly and everything, it wouldn't necessarily have told a better story than what these do, which is interesting from an art perspective. It's not necessarily finish, but it's of course story and flavor and all that. Okay, so Shanghai it is. We went to the 4th floor and said, we want to go. And luckily enough, we got some monies and went to Shanghai to research and get that train off the ground. I'll just run you through some of the pictures we took because I think they tell a lot about with which eyes we are looking upon the world. The first thing that struck us was reaching the airport, seeing all the strange in-between construction stuff that happens in parts of the world where the world is growing too fast for itself. So even though everything is new, everything is rebuilt before the new is done. So it has a lot of interesting layers of flavor like this. A new building that looks desolate. Of course, we also have the classic action movie computer game settings that we were inspired from. Shanghai is hyper massive city. I'm not sure how many million, 18, 19, I can't remember, but so immense that you can't believe it. And us at IO, we're from Denmark, which is a 5 million people country. It's completely flat. We have no high rises, so Shanghai is for us a complete adventure. It's like Middle Earth for modern day. Also, what we noticed was the living spaces are super close and super dense. And because of temperature, of course, Shanghai has a lot of air cons on in and around everywhere. So it seems like, of course, us artists like to talk about Blade Runner, but the thing is that you have a city that's growing on itself. It's like you have a building, and then I can't even imagine how old these are. It's fairly new, most of it, but still there's tubes and pipes and air cons and signs and advertising, and everything's sort of growing into a good ball of fun for us. So walking around the streets, we were really impressed how layered everything was, both from a historical standpoint about buildings and architecture, but also about you see laundry everywhere, and I really mean everywhere. So it's a funny thing where people's lives are on the street. I don't know what they do at home, because they do everything on the street. So it was super interesting for us, because Denmark is also very reserved. We are very, we do things at home, and the street is a public place, so it's kind of boring for us. So coming to Shanghai, there's just a lot of interesting things to see. We have bicycles too, though. They have that as well. Here you see some sort of a repair shop, refrigerators and old computers and TVs and whatnot. And just enjoy the chaotic representation of all this, especially combined with sort of Western influence in the way that commercial culture is driving forward in Shanghai. There's a lot of money going through. It's like the third biggest monetary machine in the world, I think, after London and New York. So it is huge, and a lot of stuff is happening sometimes. Other times it's just bicycle basements. Here you can also see some of the first steps into the look, the YouTube look as we've branded it. Going back to Kane Lynch 1, we were, interested in video and what that particular vibe would do for a video game. What I mean by video is like the immediacy of it, the non-planned of it, and the whole look of it. Of course, our common friend Michael Mann did Miami Vice at that time, and it's a funny zeitgeist thing that happens when people latch onto an idea. Here you see as well some of the things we were paying attention to, like interesting urban scapes, you could say, where this is like shopping carts in a big pile in a parking basement. It has sort of its own kind of sad poetry to it. What we also saw was like big lots where entire neighborhoods had been torn down. This lot is fairly old, and they are kept empty to have the price on the ground go up before you sell it, and have high rises all over it. So that also goes to show a little bit about how serious they are about their money over there. So, of course, some food, interesting stuff for us. We like our wieners, and so when we get to see live crabs, we are entertained. I guess you can see on all these images they are quite layered. You have wires all over. You have the beams for laundry out every window, and little accents of old China as well, with the wooden housings and bikes all over. And you got a sensation that people were living here were just. Is this an alley or a house I'm entering? You don't really know. It's like a mix between inside and outside. You're never sure you are entering somebody's property or you're just on the street and they are just living there. So it's an interesting sensation walking around. Very, very cozy and very, very nice, I would say, which we made sure to change a little bit once we got into production. Fish markets, scooters all over. Electrical scooters, by the way, so they're at the forefront of saving power as well, which is quite interesting. Markets. You see, I take a picture like this because even though it's shaky and not usable, it still represents a certain value and a certain mood. You're going somewhere too fast to really realize what's happening. And all you see is sort of this vague ghost of a huge town outside the window. So in the lot of all these research pictures, some of the ones that turned out wrong still turned out right, if you know what I mean. I'll show you a little video.
All labor.
Here you can see some of the video effects we were discovering while on research trip. I had this cheap pocket camera filming everything and nothing, and during this time we sort of had I can't really remember what came first. It's like the chicken or the egg. Did the whole ugly video look came before the location, before the choice of Lynch, or did they merge together to build upon each other? I think it's just a chaotic organic process, so I can't really tell what came first, but here you can definitely see the look that we were going for from the raw source material. You'll notice the blue noise in the darkness and the glares and the streaks and everything. I think from a purely artistic perspective, what you get with images like this is images where you have to fill out the holes with your brain using your imagination, and I think that good art does that in all whatever it is. I remember being younger, looking a lot at artists painting paintings and hyper detail everywhere, and I could get lost in a picture for days looking for details and stories to sort of grasp. As I got older though and started painting myself and all that, I got a new respect for leaving holes for the viewer to fill in, and so I was very happy with the grainy video look, in the sense that people have been asking, so are you trying to hide ugly graphics? And I would say, no, we are trying to hide graphics, in the sense that if you explain everything in one image, you won't have any magic left. And I think that's a quite important point to make. Onto the prototyping. We came home from Shanghai with all these ideas and this I would say ecstatic feeling about the video look and the lens flares and the location, and with all the neon and lights and darkness, we thought it was perfect for both Lynch, and it suited what we felt we wanted to do, in a sense that we felt kind of we were touching upon something new, something fresh. And I'll just show you. Wait a second. Resolution fucks up files, you know that. This is like a boil down of inspiration from Shanghai. And you see, it's not really about resolution. It's about colors and lights bleeding into each other and leaving the corner unexplained. And then we came home and did some more testing on trying to make it into something that would turn into a game. So running around Copenhagen trying to imitate cool guys in suits. Yours truly. Of course, you will notice lens flaring and in-camera cutting and all kinds of artifacts. wind in the camera mic and sickening visuals. I was running as fast as I could, and my mate with the camera just had to keep up, see what happens. We didn't really know, so. Yeah. So of course, doing this, we thought it was really, really funny and interesting, and like to go for it, like to make it worse than we knew it would ever be. You know how it is when you get an idea and you want to push it, you want to push because you know you're going to get resistance later on. So coming home, the level designers had already started doing some really, really rough prototyping on layouts and stuff like that, building worlds in like gray boxes. And we took some photographs and merged them into a texture and basically just sprayed them out across the world in a 45-degree angle, so every surface would have some random piece of graphics onto it. And then I had fun with my camera phone and photographed the screen and put it back in and painted a little bit on it. So this is basically trying to research how filthy you can make a look without making it too extreme. These are quite bad, but still represent pretty much the ideas we were toying with at the time. Of course, it's extremely overbright and everything, but it's still, when I have a tendency to sort of try and stretch the elastic band as much as I can at the beginning, because you're going to find a truth in there, or some shape that you like, and then you're going to land there. So if you don't stretch it out in the beginning, you probably won't do it later on. Production, this is probably going to be known to most of you. We did a lot of outsourcing on this title, so we needed to produce artwork and know what we were doing before outsourcing it. It goes without saying that this is only like 80% of the truth, and stuff always happens, but we tried to lay out, as I said before, the levels in gray boxes, and then we had lots of reviews where all the departments were present, and we talked about what worked, what didn't work, scale, the art department were making sure we could fit stuff into memory based on experience, looking at how large an area is, and some of the graphics guys were yelling, no, make it bigger, make it more interesting, make it more fun. So we had a lot of fights and finally agreed onto a size and a shape that makes sense, and then placing the camera in and around the scene and trying to conjure up how it would look like in final shape. With cover, obvious cover boxes and everything, trying to make that make sense. So going a little bit back and forth, going back to the level designer saying, maybe we need to change the shape of this. I can't really have it become believable in a real world. And, back and forth, a lot of bouncing back and forth. Same technique, 3D level design with photo painting, mashup on top of. At the same time, trying to be true to sort of a grainy video experience. Also, you'll notice that we had a lot of discussions about daytime, nighttime, how how credible and how normal does a scene need to look, because if you have a camera with gain on it, you can basically make night look like, or well, dusk look like day, and vice versa. So we had a lot of freedom in sort of tweaking the knobs, if you will, the virtual knobs, to make a scene look a certain way. So not necessarily super glorious, flashy pieces of art, but still to the point of being able to explain what the scene is about. Basically going back to the style of the first images, just doing it as fast as possible to get an idea of the mood and get an idea of action and these things. And character development basically went the same route as the rest of the environments and the style. We were looking at different aspects of what makes a believable Shanghaian, combining that what we needed to make for a type of game. We needed a lot of henchmen, a lot of pseudo mafia members and criminals and stuff like that. And we tried to, of course, combine real life, open shirts, it's hot, with a strange sense of logic. Would you be safer wearing a bike helmet when you shoot an Uzi? I don't know. But it makes sort of sense on a childish kind of level. And then, his fanny pack there might have his ammo or whatever. So constantly trying to, this guy. Constantly trying to make an interesting look and some interesting characters, all the while being fairly reasonable, using reasonable items like his jumpsuit there, and he's been painting, and now he's apparently been called to be a hired gun. So, yeah, using the known to spice up what you expect. I'll just show you some code videos that are interesting. During this phase, we were starting to code some prototypes on the video look, and I remember clearly doing with the post filter we had at the time, I could do some. Well, I thought it was fairly close, but showing it to people, they were like, "Oh no, what are you doing? That's bad." And I was pushing it, and the more critique I got, the more I was pushing it, and I guess that's an artistic pride or whatever. And in the end, when turning it down again, people around me and people around us, the group creating this, missed it. So there's a funny relationship between being pushed too far and stuff like that. These are some early video code tests on post filters and JPEG compression. You can see in the middle that the frame is sort of blending and melting a little bit. Do you see? Maybe show it again. And of course, from an art point of view, I didn't believe it was possible. So when I saw these, couldn't get my hands down. It was amazing. Imagine creating something so expensive and then just destroying it like that. I was amazed. And here's another example of the JPEG compression going completely mad, just to show you how far we try to take it. Oh, this is supposedly when you get shot, but obviously you will just die because you have no idea what's going on. So the coder doing these prototypes, I guess he read a lot of books and went onto the net and whatnot, and he talked a lot about 8-pixel JPEG something compression. He used a lot of fancy words that I didn't really understand. And of course, we're talking back and forth of would people recognize this specific type of fault or wouldn't they? And we tested it a lot on different people to get their reactions, because at this time I was too blind to make a proper decision. I just wanted worse, more, uglier, more disastrous. And of course, we needed to find a place where it was actually understood, so we could communicate what we wanted to say. This is a case where where the placeholder OSD was also affected by the compression faults. So of course the debate goes, do you have an OSD in front of or behind the video feed error? Because, we talked for days about the logic of where to put these errors, because is it the whole game being put on YouTube and then downloaded with OSD, or is the OSD the viewers, and we talked for days and days. This is another interesting pain situation, which I love to look at, but it's completely unplayable. This is basically all the effects that make up the look is being tweaked. We have sort of an unsharp mask kind of thing that whenever you have contrast, it creates a black line, especially around highlights, and you might be able to see it here if I can. Yeah, there we go. Up here, for instance, we have black outlines around the white windows, and the noise is completely maximized, and just toying with all these knobs we had. Of course, this was then, as I said, tested back and forth, and we found a level where the vision came through, but people understood it still, so that was quite nice. Wrapping it up, as I said, of course, we tried to go as far as we could because we believed we had something interesting and unique, but believing that your personal vision will be understood by the crowd is maybe a little bit naive. So I believe it's part of the job to stretch the elastic band a little bit and try some things out. But of course, if it's not understood, it doesn't really matter. Then it's art, and that's also fine. But it's a different discipline than this is. So these are just some cases where we were trying to establish the particular vibe of Kane Lynch 2, all the while getting further or closer to a commercial, reasonable look. From very punk to very vague, actiony. Including the homepage. I remember thinking that we needed a different look to the web page than a company page promoting a product. We needed it to be more art project, like something different, where you weren't really sure what you were gonna get and if it was a game or not or whatever. So we did a lot of funny tests on to get this to be a different flavor as well. Of course, realizing that it needs to be sellable, and we need PR over, to give their expertise. And this is an art piece I found in the depths of the server somewhere. I'm not sure if it's going to be used, not used, or whatever, but represents some of the ideas we were talking about. We have flashlight, photographing the characters. So even though it's not filmed, it still has a sense of immediacy and a sense of unplannedness to it. And of course, the horrible lens flare, that is, well, I guess you could call it sort of one of our cornerstones in the visual design to make you recognize the product. And then these characters just fumbling around, being out of their way, not being super awesome, but basically fighting for their lives. And then PR can add some sparks to make you realize that it's actually action. So that's pretty much it. Well, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but what I want you to take away from this is my story would be that look different in different areas for inspiration. Look beyond games. Look at the faults and the errors and the parts you didn't design on purpose. And if you find something magical, stick to it and believe in it, even though other people don't. But listen when you're ready to listen. You should also do that. So I hope you will go and look into the corner, see something interesting. Thank you. So, questions, if any. Did we have to get permission to go to the abandoned lots in Shanghai? Yeah. Well, we had our outsourcing studio was located in Shanghai, so we had a lot of those guys helping us out. I remember clearly going to the lots were okay. We just went there. They weren't fenced in or anything, but we went to the fish market, and I remember them saying, "Don't bring out your cameras. We'll do it." Like, so the stupid tourists wouldn't be, all up in their face, and they were doing their job and, all that. So we had a little help gauging if it was proper behavior or not. Yes? I think that this look is well, we are always inspired by Hollywood. The first game, even with its critique or not, had sort of had a cool Hollywood vibe to it. This is more like a user-generated, off-the-shelf look, and I think that if a third game would come along, it would try to do something maybe not different, but at least keep in tune to how we experience both movies and reality. So I wouldn't dare to say, if that makes any sense. Anything else? Yes? Yes. I know it sounds cheesy, but YouTube was pretty heavy in the sense that we also found that going to YouTube, when your mate comes over and he says, "Watch this," and you watch some dude walking on the street, you're like, "Oh no, I don't wanna. What's gonna happen?" It has sort of a built-in sense of worry that somebody filmed something and it's been put online for a reason, and sometimes that reason is not very pleasant. So it had a built-in sort of tension to it, the look we felt. Other than that, I would say action films have been doing handheld for many, many years, and when trying to convince people why it would be a safe route to go, we would mention Bourne Identity as a flick that has a lot of handheld shaky cam to make you experience what's going on. When you say, are you familiar with Danish Dome films, Lars von Trier and stuff like that? When you say that, they'll go, eh? And you say YouTube, or you say, it's really ugly. They'll be like, what are you talking about? So there's actually a lot of these handheld aspects in a lot of different areas. Well, they have a healthy amount of questions, and of course they won't let you go off on a random idea just because you think it's funny. So I think they were excited that we were excited, in the sense that we really felt we were pushing some new ground or whatever. And I'm not sure who instigated all the focus group testing. That was something we took quite seriously on all accounts. So we knew we needed to test the look, and we knew we needed to have people not be sick, at least not all of them. I remember we had one guy from focus group testing. We have a basement with a lot of gaming machines, and somebody came up to the first floor we were sitting, and he said, "Somebody just vomited." And we were like, "Oh my God, that's a good story. We can't possibly tell that. That's a bad story. That's a good, So it's all about pushing it and people understand, but taking it a little bit back. So I had ideas that I wanted to have put in here, but realized that they weren't being understood, and as such they were dropped, and we were, putting it back. Anything else? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't remember. I think it was sort of an idea, when we saw the JPEG compression and all that, all these strange errors, and we realized what we could do. I'm not sure, but the classic cops came up to where you blur faces on people who don't want to be in there, or violence or whatever, and it was just a natural progression of the whole vibe we were looking for, because the distorted images is only one aspect of the the direction of the game, the characters, as I said, the dialogue, the way the story is told, is sort of. I'm lacking words, but I would say different and off in a way. So we felt that making extreme violence more violent by blurring it out was an interesting idea, because it would make people think a little bit. So I guess that's also a part of imagination is good for you. Anybody else? No? Thank you for coming.